Hi, I'm Patty with Amplify Science, and I'll be walking you through this video on daily planning and teaching with remote resources. We'll look at the third grade Inheritance and Traits unit in these examples. In this video, we'll focus on orienting you to the location of the different at-home resources on the program hub, sharing considerations for weekly planning with Amplify resources and looking at some sample weekly plans, and outlining a process for daily planning using a planning tool. Here's the agenda for this video. First, we'll look at where to find the resources and documents that will help you with planning. If you're already familiar with locating the at-home resources and what's new, and you want to fast forward to the planning segments, a slide with the chapter photos down the left-hand side, like this one, will signal the start of section 2 and 3. That's about 7 minutes into the video. In section 2, we'll discuss weekly planning considerations and look at a couple of weekly plans. In section 3, we'll use the planning tool and a 3-step process for planning a daily lesson. As you're watching the video today, please jot down any questions you may have, and my email address will be in the last slide. I'd welcome the opportunity to answer your questions and plan with your team if you'd like. If you're a new Amplify user, you may want to start preparing for this unit by watching the Inheritance and Traits unit orientation video to get a feeling for the flow of the learning throughout the unit. It's on the FCPS Teaching and Learning YouTube channel at curriculum@fayette.kyschools.us.fcps. Amplify Science at Home contains a growing number of resources for teachers and students for remote instruction. New documents, like the lesson index, have been added. To access the at-home resources and the other professional learning resources, click on the global navigation icon, the little hamburger, in the upper left-hand corner of the screen when you're on the Amplify platform, and then scroll down to the gray Program Hub icon. After clicking on the Program Hub, select I am a teacher, and then Remote Learning Resources from the menu on the left. Scroll down and select your grade level. Then, just like on the Amplify platform, you'll select the picture of your unit. One of the first places you'll want to look is in the Teacher Overview. Below the overview, you'll see the primary remote resources for this unit. The remote resources are separated into 2 groups, the at-home units, and below that, the at-home videos. The at-home lessons are numbered 1 through 18 for this unit. The at-home videos are numbered to match the platform lessons. You may choose to use both at-home lessons and platform lessons or the at-home videos. The lesson index will help you cross-reference between the two if you decide to use some of both. Here you can see what's in the lesson index. The first page on the left shows a matchup between the at-home lessons and the platform lessons that correspond. The second page shows student sheet pages and investigation notebook connections. You may choose to integrate some resources from the regular Amplify curriculum. Remember, the Google Slides and PowerPoints are editable and available for every lesson on the lesson brief page. The student investigation notebook pages are on the unit landing page, and they can be useful to project or adapt for student work. The at-home units have slides and student sheets that can be assigned for asynchronous work as long as students have tech access. They can also be used for Zoom sessions and shared by the teacher if you'd like. Each at-home lesson is estimated to take about 30 minutes. In the at-home slides, There are shortened links, tiny URLs, to videos of hands-on demonstrations, digital tool uses, and read-alouds of student books. Students can use these links to watch videos on a device as small as a smartphone, and they're directed to them at the moment in the slide deck when it makes sense to watch them. Students can access books and digital tools from home by going to apps.learning.amplify.com/elementary. They need to select Log in with Amplify and then type in the username and password ampsci123. Then students select their unit picture to get to the materials. At-home videos have been made for each activity in each lesson on the platform. They can be used as models for making your own videos, assigned as they are for students to view, or you can show segments in an online science class. They're also great for makeup work when a student misses an online class. They're estimated to take about the same amount of time as a lesson on the platform. And here you see the one-to-one correlation with activities from lesson 1.5 on the left and the video segments on the right. At-home videos have thinking prompts. They ask students to pause and write answers or stand up and try things out, maybe to go talk with a partner. They can be used with just a pencil and paper or a science notebook. Now we're ready to take a look at some weekly planning considerations. As you get ready to plan for a week of science instruction, here are a few things to consider. How much time do you have each day for science instruction? How many of those days are you going to be able to have synchronous sessions with your students? For those synchronous sessions, do you want to screen share the at-home slides or use slides from the platform? And which lessons or sections of lessons would be most effective for online classes? As you consider which things to do during live instruction, the following activities are recommended to be included in synchronous sessions: online discussions, demonstrations of how to use digital tools, interactive read-alouds, shared writing experiences. Class charts can be co-constructed and hands-on demos can be done, either with the teacher demonstrating or by showing a video of the hands-on activities as seen in the links on the slides. Here's an example of a weekly plan using at-home resources. Assuming that I had a 30-minute class period for science, and I planned on meeting in a Zoom session with my students each day. I looked at the key activities in each at-home lesson, and I decided whether to split the lessons between 1 or 2 days. I felt like lesson 1 and 2 could each be done within a 30-minute window. Lesson 3 looked like I might want to take more time with it, so I split it between Wednesday and Thursday. I plan to use Jamboard for students to share observations on Wednesday. I looked at the teacher overview and I decided to share on my screen the at-home slides in our sessions and have students write in notebooks at home with the exception of the pre-unit writing. I think I would send those questions home in a Google Doc. Here's an example of the same weekly plan, again with a 30-minute science block, but I reconfigured the same lessons for a week where I could meet synchronously with students Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and they would have assignments at home on Tuesday and Thursday. I highlighted places I adjusted for the asynchronous blocks of time. I plan to show students how to access the video sections that would be assigned for Tuesday at the end of class on Monday. In our live session Wednesday, I began lesson 3, and then I showed them how to access the student slides I'd assigned through Google Classroom to finish the lesson independently Thursday and be ready to discuss those on Friday. Feel free to pause the video to look in more detail at any of these plans if you'd like. Now we're going to take a look at a planning tool and a 3-step planning process that can help with daily planning, making the most of the combination of resources that work best for you and your students. Planning with remote resources can be done effectively with these 3 steps. First, look at the at-home resources, the unit materials and videos. Second, take a look at the corresponding platform lesson for supports like differentiation ideas and embedded formative assessments. And third, decide if you want to make use of any third-party apps to engage your students. This format, called the Planning Tool, can be found on the Science Curriculum page of the FCPS Navigator. There is also a sample page for Lesson 1.5 that's posted so you can see an example of the planning tool that is completed. Step 1, looking at the at-home resources, and Step 2, looking at the platform supports in the lesson brief, are completed in the sections labeled here. On the second page of the document, there are places for notes on how you might choose to use a digital word wall, implement various technologies, and for some other notes. Additionally, reminders for where to find Amplify resources for planning are listed at the end. For example, success criteria can be written using the lesson level 3D statement, which is found on the lesson brief page. In Step 1, you'll want to access the Program Hub and open the Teacher Overview document. Read through the Chapter at a Glance section and the lesson summary for the lesson that you're ready to plan. Check out the ideas for synchronous or in-person instruction if you're able to meet with your students remotely that day. As you're filling in the investigation question for that day's lesson, remember that it can be found in the Chapter at a Glance section of the Teacher Overview, like you see here. You can see the corresponding platform lesson on the individual lesson summaries. The bulleted key activities are listed there as well. Here's a completed lesson plan for At-Home Lesson 5, which was developed based on the platform lesson 1.5. I decided I would like to do this lesson synchronously because of the emphasis on discussion of observations. After looking at the student slides and thinking about what I'd want students to write in their science notebooks, I made some notes to guide instruction in the right-hand column. Success criteria can be developed by looking at the 3D statement on the lesson brief page. I found the 3D statement for the lesson by clicking the Standards tab on the left-hand side. Note that I only used the first part of the 3D statement for the success criteria because the graphing activity isn't included in At-Home Lesson 5. Next, I'm going to take a glance at the at-home videos. Since I'm teaching this lesson in a Zoom session, I decided I might go back and watch these videos for activities 1 and 2 to see how the teacher presented this lesson to her students remotely. But I'm not going to assign any sections unless the student was absent from the class Zoom. Step 2 involves looking at the platform lesson brief for ideas on presentation, differentiation, and formative assessment. You may want to open the lesson slides to look at presenter notes and decide whether you would like to use these slides for a synchronous session instead of the at-home slides. Selecting differentiation from the purple menu on the left, I can find suggestions for strategies to help target learners with different needs. If you look through the activity tabs, You'll see the hummingbird icon for formative assessment suggestions. I've listed a few differentiation strategies I want to implement here on the planning tool, and I noticed that there's an on-the-fly assessment in Activity 1. I want to take advantage of this opportunity to see if my students can recognize patterns and traits among the wolves we observed. For a complete listing of all embedded formative assessments in the unit, remember you can look on the unit landing page under Teacher References and find embedded formative assessments. The third step in planning is to decide if you'd like to make use of any third-party applications in the presentation of the lesson. I decided to use Jamboard for my students to share traits they observed in this lesson. I know different teacher teams around the district are using a wide variety of apps to connect with their students. Just a heads up, when your third unit materials will be ready. The videos for environments and survival are already there on the program hub, ready to go, and the at-home unit will be posted January 17th. Please feel free to contact me with any questions or to set up a time to discuss anything remotely. I hope this has been helpful for you, and remember that the planning tool is located on the navigator on your third grade science curriculum page under the Supporting Resources section. I'm Patty Works, and my email address is pworks@amplify.com. Thank you.